PharmaPhobic is powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, a company dedicated to helping you empower your health, redefine your lifestyle, and all for the health of it. You're listening to PharmaPhobic, where we challenge the state of health in America. I'm Janie, a physician assistant, and I've seen how healthcare keeps people dependent instead of truly healthy.
And I'm Dan, a veteran turned fitness pro here to uncover the truth and explore simple and sustainable health solutions. From big pharma to big food, we're exposing the conflicts of interest keeping us sick and finding better ways to take back our health.
No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk, real solutions, and a little bit of fun along the way.
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of PharmaPhobic, where we help you achieve the strongest, healthiest, and most capable version of yourself. This is brought to you by Achieve the Lifestyle, and I'm here with a few people today. First and foremost, my lovely companion in life and in business and in spiritual walks, the lovely Janie Brown. How are you doing?
Hello. So awkward.
So today we have a guest with us today, former client of mine. This man is involved in the recovery game. So yes, recovery from addiction. He's a recovery home manager, and he is in recovery himself for many years. Mr. Ryan Carr, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
We appreciate you being here. So guys, this is a heavy conversation, I feel like, because framing it a little bit, the number one killer of males between the age of 18 and 39 currently, this happened quietly over the scamdemic, is overdoses. Okay? It wasn't COVID. It wasn't war. It was overdoses here at home. So what we're saying is the most productive people of the most productive age in our society are dying at alarming rates due to addiction. So today we're gonna talk a little bit about that with somebody who has intimate knowledge of that problem. Ryan, pass it over to you, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, overdoses. I'm Ryan. Thank you for having me on here, guys. Yeah, I've been in and out of the, let's just say, recovery battle for most of my life, and now I get an opportunity to work with a lot of different men, a lot of different women, on trying to figure out what that means to recover or stay in recovery versus going in and out, which was my deal. Over the last 24 years, I have 17 years of sobriety. 6 years was my longest stretch. I just celebrated 5 years. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, what that means for somebody in my field or someone that is labeled as an alcoholic, which I label myself an alcoholic. Yes, there's other things, other dry goods that were involved in this.
Goods, I never heard that one.
And so yeah, it's interesting to watch a alcoholic operate in life versus, let's just say, quote unquote, somebody normal. And so as we navigate this plague, this epidemic that we have, it's kind of interesting because it hits so close to home. Me personally, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Had a great family business. Everything was really provided for me. Everything I needed, wanted, so on and so forth. So as far as what we always call it, there's an emptiness. So we call it a spiritual malady. It's an emptiness in our heart that we cannot fill. It's a God-sized hole that we can't fill with anything besides spirituality. And as a parent, as a son, as an uncle, as a brother, as everything of that nature, general society says fill it with this, fill it with that, fill it with do sports, do your grades, get everything done accurately, appropriately, and so on and so forth. Do all those things and you still have that emptiness inside, and you can't explain why that emptiness is still there. And this started for me at a very young age. So this is not because of my parents. This is not because of my family. This is not because of anything that happened to me in my life. This is literally just how I was. And some people find it altruistically, and some people don't. And for me, I stayed lost for a long time. My first memory is 2 years old, running away on my tricycle. I got down to the stop sign and thought I was in a whole nother world. What I was running from, I couldn't tell you. Me, my family, trying to find that hole, that God-sized hole, something to fill it in. Couldn't tell you. What I do know is I found a solution today. A lot of that solution came down to exactly what you guys are about, and that's what I love about what you guys are doing here. It wasn't anything external. It wasn't any medication. It wasn't anything of that nature. It's literally balance. It's diet. It's exercise. It's community. It's love. It's hope. It's joy. All the things that media doesn't promote. It's fear-based world that we live in. Society is all about get it done and or else, get it done or else, get this or else. And trying to break free of that is a lonely game if you don't have a community to walk through it with.
Yeah. You said something before we started talking about community, and I just want you to say it now, just to kind of set the tone of exactly what you already mentioned.
Are you talking about connections, the opposite of addiction?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's because that's one of the pillars of our company, Achieve the Lifestyle, social connections, and I think that's left out a lot in conventional medicine, which is where my experience is. We don't talk to people about social connections unless they're over the age of 65, 70, and that's when loneliness becomes obvious, right? Because all your peers are dying, but do we talk to somebody in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s? We don't. And so I think that's a very powerful thing and something that needs to be highlighted more.
I also think we're being conditioned. Yeah, tinfoil hat moment. They're being conditioned to accept things as connection that are not actually connection.
Good point.
Yes.
Freaking online dating type of thing. Listen, if you met your spouse on an online, that's fine, that's great, I love it. But eventually it came down to human interaction, right? But people interacting online, metaverse, AI, pornography, again, things that you feel like you're getting connection, but it's a counterfeit, right? That doesn't replace you having dinner with people and looking at them eye to eye, sending text messages, and it's fake to what it actually means to connect with people. And I think that's something that we have to highlight in this digital world that we're living in, and making it even more digital, that there are things that are presented to you as connection that are not actual connection. I think people don't know. We forgot because it's ingrained in us, right, to seek this out.
It is.
It's our nature. We were built this way. So that's something that we need to highlight there as well.
So that's actually kind of something that's really close to my heart, is how do we access that primitive aspect of what community really means? And, we live in that general society of take this, do that, and you're going to feel content, you're going to feel relief. But it's all self-reliant. And so if we're self-reliant, then we don't rely on each other. We don't rely on, the community. And how do we achieve that? So one of my favorite definitions is and I'm not trying to make this about God, but one of my favorite definitions of God is in the Webster Dictionary, and I'm abbreviating this, don't quote me verbatim. But it has to do with supreme or ultimate reality. And for what that means to me, supreme or ultimate reality is literally taking perspective of all organisms, all life on Earth, universe, so on and so forth. I cannot gain that knowledge. I am human. I will never be able to achieve that. But in a small micro world of what a community is, we could gain enough perspective, enough reality to where we can operate and function as one. And that unity has a lot to do with what that definition really means to me.
We've been flirting with this over the past couple episodes. I don't know what number this episode's going to be, but we're probably approaching 50.
Well, I think this is going to be mid to late 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but as we get into our first year of doing this, we've been kind of flirting with the idea of talking about God and spirituality and how that plays part into your health. But this is an excellent opportunity because you mentioned it right off the rip. I was like, oh, it's funny how these things work. Hey, because how do we put this in there? Because the topic of spirituality and the influence that the spiritual realm has in our lives is something that a lot of people kind of close off to immediately. But what I want you to know is that you are screwing yourself over if you do that. You see what I'm saying? And where it really came home to me, you know, as believers and people that believe in God, that sort of thing. But I'm like, oh, that's my personal thing. But I was listening to RFK before he became, you know, when he was on the presidential trail, and he was talking on a podcast on Sean Ryan, and he mentioned, because he's also a recovery guy, right? And Tucker Carlson said the same thing, another recovery guy, and they both said it 2 different times. They said that it wasn't possible to get clean without God. And that's part of the 12-step thing. It's like you need something bigger than yourself. And that was like, oh my God, that's a right there, you know?
Yeah, and we're fortunate to have so many people that are of public image to promote. Promote's probably the worst word because it's one of the traditions, but show the attraction. Show the attraction to what this really is, and you know how to find a life of you know contentment, peace, not of excitement and chaos. Because that alone has its own addiction. I mean, same stimulation of all the streaming that we have on phones and so on and so forth. Digital addiction is probably, you know, besides fentanyl and all the other overdoses that are going on. Because now you can't even keep up with the game because between the research chemicals and so on and so forth that people are taking. Why are they taking them? Why are they escaping reality? What is their purpose to get outside of themselves? And for me in my journey, it was because I did not feel content in my own skin, and I did not know how to produce that on my own. And continuing to try to seek a way to do that, I was introduced to so many different ways of finding that throughout my journey. Like I said, I was 17 years old until now I'm 41 years old. It's been a journey. Been a journey. When I feel connected, my life is good. When I choose isolation, and I want to emphasize, when I choose isolation, I tend to go down a dangerous road.
Yeah.
And that loneliness gets us lost in the woods to whatever that means to each individual from whatever they're recovering from. It's not just drugs. It's not alcohol. It's a lot in life.
I like how you say when you choose isolation, because I think a lot of people feel like it's not a choice. It's just that's how they feel, right? But I recently, bringing it back to God, sorry, but
No, sorry.
It's going to be a lot of God.
There's the reality of it.
There's a Bible verse, I want to say it's in James, but I can't say for sure, but it's been catching a lot of popularity lately, and it says, if you don't feel like praying, do it anyway, because there's something at work making you not want to pray. And so when you feel like you want to choose isolation, go against it, because there's something at work making you want isolation.
Yeah.
Right? And so...
Yeah, I think one day, obviously, every one of us is going to perish. And then when you cross to the other side, I always tell you this, we're going to see things from an expanded perspective. And I fully believe that it's going to be like all this crap that we thought was just this minor issue or some, I'm just not in a, you know, it's going to be like, oh no, that was spiritual in nature.
Yeah.
There were spirits at play here. And, you know, obviously, hopefully I see some of y'all and be like, told you.
No, stop.
Told you.
No, but
Told you.
We've been talking a lot to our friend Sully, who ascribes to Eastern Orthodox more. And obviously there's some differences, right? And so
bit.
I told him, I was like, hey, as you know, we both believe in the same thing ultimately. We can, you know, point fingers at who was right when the time comes when we figure out all that knowledge that we can't understand as humans.
Yeah.
So.
I told you this was spiritual, bro. You didn't want to listen to me. You thought it was your little Chips Ahoy or something.
Yeah.
And then we could go back to one of the 7 deadly sins of pride, where it doesn't even matter if we're right or wrong.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing, though.
No, it is.
So what I was trying to say, and I already lost my train of thought, but one thing I always talk about on here is there's no such thing as passive wellness within like conventional medicine. Like you obviously have to be healthy. It's not just, well, I don't do X, Y, and Z. You actually need to do things, right? So would you say that there's no such thing as passive sobriety? It's not just you're refraining from stuff, but you actively have to do things to avoid falling back in? Or is that not a good way to say that?
There's a disease model that that would probably answer this the best.
Okay.
It is considered by science and by many people throughout the world that it is a disease to have addiction. And I believe that as well, because the brain is literally altered to a place where you cannot control the way that you think, operate, and so on and so forth. So the object of starting the journey in recovery is literally separating yourself from the mind, mood altering substance and or behavior for long enough in a safe environment so that you can start to alter the mind or change the trajectory, if you want to call it, to find a healthier choice. So what that means is your brain has now been removed from the craving. It's like getting off sugar. It's a battle, right?
Yeah, it's real.
It's a battle.
Struggle is real with that.
The same thing applies. Where you're fighting it, you're like, you can literally punch a wall on it. I just want sugar. Your body, your brain, and everything, your soul is craving it because it believes in its heart of hearts that it needs it to survive, which is true to an extent. But so how do we get somebody that's going through this pain and suffering of trying to find a new light in a safe environment so that they have the ability to choose again? And that's kind of the disease model. It's like you can't be like, somebody has cancer, choose not to have it.
Yeah. Good point.
Just doesn't work. So if it's a disease, it's a disease. You have the flu. Hopefully your body fights it. If not, we have antivirals now and a lot of different things and methods that we can do to help you heal. Science has been wonderful in that aspect. And those things are helpful, but do we need these all the time? Do we always need something to be better? And that's the thing that I always challenge. Like, yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable, just like getting off sugar. It's going to be uncomfortable. Having cancer, very uncomfortable. Both my parents passed away of cancer. Most devastating experience that I ever witnessed and was within. And I could speak of that as well because that actually ended me up down here in Florida in a way. And so what was very difficult is when we have a power of choice, what do we choose? Is it selfish? Is it self-seeking? Is it self-serving? Or do we choose community? Is it unselfish? Is it honest? Is it loving? Is it pure?
Yeah.
No one can achieve that. We're human. We're self-seeking to the nature. That's what we are.
So how did this thing start for you? What happened that you like fell in and then you couldn't come out?
That's interesting. So there's been different phases in my life where I fell in and I couldn't come out. And I want to say teenage years was a very difficult time for me. And whether it be hormones, for me, the simplest way I could say it is I didn't have the ability to be honest. What I wasn't able to be honest about was I'm feeling scared and I need help. And even if I said that, I wouldn't say it directly. And so I'm waiting for somebody to help me because I already believe in my heart of hearts that I'm not capable of doing this on my own.
And when you say doing this on your own, you mean life? Life. Okay.
Just life.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not good at humaning.
Okay.
That's it. That's what that means is, I don't cope with emotions well. I don't deal with reality well. I don't deal with adversity well. I don't deal with challenges well. So I could go, the list goes on. Is that accurate? Sometimes. But my brain goes to another obsessive area. Let's just call this part of the addiction, where I need something in order to be confident, in order to get through something, instead of choosing community. I don't want to share my emotions with somebody. I don't want to share my fears with somebody. I don't want to share anything with somebody. I want to tell everyone how proud and how brave and how courageous I am. I didn't realize, though, that the courageous part was actually being vulnerable. And so, yes, my journey started teenage years. I probably started well before that with other maladapted coping mechanisms.
Okay.
I love being a caretaker until I can't care for that person anymore. Then I'm spiraling out of control in my mind. Started at a young age with my mom. A couple other things going on in life. And, you know, illnesses and family get us to do weird things because we want to care for somebody else. First thing I learned was set aside my own well-being so I could take care of somebody else. And so I repeated that at a young age until I was 36 years old. And so it was a long journey of take care of everybody else. And before this started, I said that, you know, what am I willing to do to care for somebody else without compromising my own well-being?
Right.
And if I do compromise my well-being, when do I say it's enough?
Yeah.
So this started for me at a teenage year when you know, 12 through 14 was a trying time for me. A couple of deaths in the family. A couple of people in my family got sick. My father got really sick. He had a couple of strokes at one time. And so the caretaker role comes in. Got excited. And here we are with Western medicine, you know, like, okay, they're going to take care of Dad. Basically, it's like the sickest person gets all the attention. And I'm not saying that's healthy. I'm not saying that's right, but that was the way I perceived it. And so I once again set aside all my needs in order to take care of the sickest person. Is that accurate? Should I have done that? In hindsight, no. In hindsight, no. But I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. And so when I go home at night and I'm sitting in my head, it doesn't matter how much good I did, how much care I did for other people, I still wouldn't feel content in my heart. Back to that contentment piece. And instead of asking anyone for help, I didn't know who to call. I didn't know who to reach out to. I didn't even know what I was asking for help with. And so I'd switch to, I'd turn to, and my first drug of choice was weed and marijuana, which is a whole nother ballgame of how potent it is nowadays.
Yeah, we've had that conversation on here, and hey, weed ain't the same, guys. It's not the same. This ain't your grandpappy's Woodstock weed anymore.
No.
It is creating all sorts of issues.
Yeah, I've watched many young men go into psychosis just because of THC now.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I actually saw one that could not come back out of it.
Oh, no.
And many others that will always be on medication because of it, just in order to keep the, let's just say, voices out of their head.
Got
Yeah.
it.
That's usually a result. You know, there's a study out there that if you're smoking marijuana heavily before the age of 25, where that prefrontal cortex solidifies, where it's fully grown, that's the end result. It's psychosis, constant depression, anxiety. Like, you can't get out of it because your brain actually developed the wrong way. That's crazy.
It's literally the craziest thing. There's a line from Tommy Boy. One of my favorite lines is, you know, your brain's filled with malted hops and bong resin. And unfortunately, that was attractive to me. That was funny, but more so than that, that was like, I want that. And that's why I said at a young age, this was me. This is no one else forcing me into this. This was my personal choices before I'm like already ingrained. There's a lot of different ways of looking at it. Yeah, it's a spiritual malady. There's a lot of different ways of saying psychologically, behaviorally, family, so on and so forth. There's a lot of different ways that you could look at this. I own accountability for my choices, though, and that's very important to know. So moving on, teenage years. I found my great coping mechanism, you know, a little drink on the weekend, so on and so forth, which is fine. Most teenagers go through that, right?
Right.
But most of them also stop where I'm still going. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to lose myself into oblivion. Now there's new drugs on the market, fentanyl being one of them. People lose themselves quite quickly.
Right.
And that void that you experience with that drug is more comforting than actually dealing with reality. Back to supreme or ultimate reality. If you aren't a part of that reality, you don't have to deal with it in a community basis. And so the isolation just continued. So teenage years all the way through. By the time I'm 17, I'm already asked nicely by some authority figures to go to meetings, group support meetings, and And so this actually goes full circle from 17 till 36 years old. There's some pictures in those room, and this is the power of like planting the seeds. This is what I really like. Though I wasn't willing to turn my life over to this way of life at that time, those seeds were planted then in there. And I said it already earlier, and this I live by this, is unselfish, honest, loving, and pure. They were on the wall. And I said, I want that. I want that. But just like any white lie, we get further and further away from that just to cover up the next white lie, white lie, white lie, white lie, all the way up. I wasn't lying to others, so to say. I was lying to myself. And the biggest lie I said to myself was, I'm okay when I'm not. I don't need help when I do. And so that continued until it compounded into my 30s. From the age of 23 till I was 30, I was sober. Something clicked. And let's just say bought into it. I found a solution, and it was community. But if I feel any abrasion or resistance or tension in the community, I'm already stepping back. And that's where, let's just say, having a little faith is very important, not in self. Faith in something beyond oneself. And that's what I believe everyone's speaking of, RFK and so on and so forth. Just countless other individuals is, you can't, no human power can relieve us of our alcoholism. It's one of the lines in some of the stuff that I practice. And so, yes, we get information from individuals, but no one man can do it. No one person can do it. And it's, so back to choice. When did I choose to not care about myself anymore? For me, it was significant events in my life that I didn't know how to cope with emotionally, situationally, environmentally, so on and so forth, physically. But something that I've learned a lot with you guys is, the discipline of, for me, it was the discipline of work. The blue collar work, just get in there, grunt work, get it done, set yourself aside. You guys taught me a lot more like balance, like show up and just work out 5 days a week, eat right, things like that, the simple things. You feel good. You actually want to be better versus reluctantly waking up in the morning, feeling all the aches and pains and still going forward because you can. So downside of that is between, let's just say 26 to 30 years old, I'm in this trudge mode. And I don't know where I heard it, but I heard it a long time ago where I just chose life is going to be a struggle. And I preferred that because it felt, even if it was just psychological, it felt as though I was productive struggling than not struggling at all. And now I don't even know what peace is. I don't know anything besides chaos. And if I don't have it, I recreate it.
Interesting. So it's a very, like, it's dark, but I can kind of see it, and I see a lot of people where embrace the grind type of thing, where I think you need some of that. Like people assume that being happy is this like everything goes right for you. No, you never experience any adversity. Where the reality of happiness is somewhere in the middle where you have a good amount of struggle that you have to overcome, right? There's challenge that's required to live a meaningful, fruitful, productive life. If you're never overcoming anything, you're really doing a damn thing, So there's a part of that where you complete and utter everything goes right is not good for you. But then there's too much of that, right? It's like everything. So that's really interesting.
Finding balance is a struggle.
Yeah.
Finding balance is for myself. For myself, finding balance is a major struggle. I break it down into like 5 different things. It's like work, personal, social, therapeutic, and spiritual. And within those 5 things, I'm always out of balance. Out of probably 4 of those, I very seldom hit the mark of like let's just say peak performance in one of those, let alone all 5 of them. But finding that balance is kind of like what I focus on now. That all being said, you said something that triggered something in my mind here. Yeah, I can't recall it. We'll probably circle back on that
Well,
one.
he was talking about how if everything goes right, that's not good, and you need some struggle.
So I lived a long life and it was probably 26 till 36, where I was trudging. I preferred chaos. Give me a problem, I'm in my element. Give me peace, and I'm restless. I'm irritable. I'm discontent. And being in that place when you're in a place of peace is confusing, bass backwards, all that fun stuff. So how do you get out of something when you've literally trained your brain to say and ignore every last human instinct that you have out there? And why I did that, I could give you a million different reasons. Bottom line, I chose that path to cope with my reality. 2017 hit, and my mom got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Man, that's a tough one.
I had some other events in my life that happened right before that, which also happened to fall into a divorce, loss of career, and all this because of my addiction. My mom getting sick was a pivotal point because it gave me purpose. Healthy purpose. It would be healthy if you're not, let's just say, insane like me, where I take it to the wrong level. And that's part of my behavioral unbalancedness or addiction, if you want to call it. And so 2017, we get into, I set all my stuff aside once again. I'm working with purpose now, trying to find a cure for cancer with my mom. And the short version is I'm so fortunate to be able to have walked that journey with my mom and then eventually my dad, because then he got diagnosed December 2018 with pancreatic cancer.
Oh, gosh.
And he passed away February 2019, my mom June 2019.
Okay.
And so as I had the honor to be able to care for them through their passing, with my brother and sister's support, it was I had purpose. But 6 weeks after my mom passed away, I realized I didn't have it anymore. And so what do I turn to when I have emotions that I can't deal with? Grief, loss, sorrow, pain, hurt, scared, annoyed, frustrated, mad, all these things that I've never coped with. I love happy and I'm comfortable with anger. Those are my two emotions that I came down here to Florida with. And so in 2019, at the time, I looked at my girlfriend and I says, basically, get away, it's going to get ugly. That's the way I remember it. Whether that's accurate or not, it's a story I know. And it got ugly, despite having two children and an ex-wife, loving brother and sister that were going through their grief and loss process. I couldn't be there to support them anymore. I couldn't be there to support anybody anymore. I was lost, and I had a particular individual, Chris, that was there supporting me. We call it sponsors in recovery, and he begged me not to run down I remember running down, and whether this is accurate or not, this is the way I remember it, is running down the church halls that night. I'm going to a bunch of meetings. I'm doing all the right stuff. I'm following direction. But that night I made a decision not to follow direction anymore. And so, yeah, I made a conscious choice to pick up and find relief from what I consider a spiritual malady, an emotional inability to cope with reality. And going down that road took me to some dark places. So just long story short, I came down here December 17, 2020, and had an opportunity to go to a treatment center where I was there for 4.5 months. But coming down here was a struggle. Yeah.
Who got you down here?
My family.
Like your brother and sister, they said like, yo.
I gotta redact that comment. I gotta say, once again, I hate making this about God for those that are resistant to it, and I hate apologizing for this. For me, this was my spiritual experience.
Okay.
My God experience. December 17th, I picked up the phone and actually asked for help, which is not my normal.
And now let's take a quick break. Have you heard about collagen and how amazing it is for your skin, hair, nails, digestion, and joints, but have no clue which one to choose? I've been there. A few years ago, I stumbled upon Bubs Naturals, and let me tell you, I've been hooked ever since. Here's why I swear by them. Bubs Naturals keeps their quality standards sky high from the start to finish. Their collagen blends perfectly in coffee, or really any other beverage you love. Plus, they've got convenient to-go packs so you can stay on track wherever life takes you. And it doesn't stop there. They'll donate 10% of all of their proceeds to charities that support veterans. How awesome is that? Oh, and they've leveled up their electrolytes too. The mixed berry, that's my absolute favorite. It's light, refreshing, and not overly sweet. What sealed the deal for me? Their electrolytes are NSF certified, made right here in the USA, and just like their collagen, every purchase helps give back. So do your body a favor, head to bubnaturals.com and use my code JANE20 at checkout for 20% off every time you order. Tired of looking like you lost a fight with a powdered donut every time you work out? Yeah, I was too. That's why I ditched the messy chalk and switched to Chalkless. Chalkless is a new, clean, residue-free grip enhancer that goes on in seconds and lasts for hours. No clouds, no cleanup, just a rock-solid grip. Whether you're crushing it in the gym, dominating on the pickleball court, or hanging on a rock face like Spider-Man, Chalkless has your back. I even hit my 350-pound deadlift PR at Summer Strong using Chalkless. Locked in, zero slip, total confidence. Ready to level up your grip game? Head over to chalkless.com and use code JANEBROWN to snag 10% off your order. What do you think? What feeling did you have when you decided to pick up the phone and ask for help?
Absolute hopelessness.
And what made you pick up a phone and not a bottle?
Moment of clarity allowed me the position to, I call it, it's a moment of grace given to me by a power higher than me.
Yeah.
That allowed me to actually have the freedom to choose the right path versus the wrong one. And there's very few moments like that in a lot of people's lives, but when they happen, I was a fortunate one to choose a positive direction.
Who did you call?
I believe I called my brother and my sister.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to have an intervention on me. I want to say it was a month and a half earlier. And I said I was willing, but I wasn't really willing. And that's kind of the hard part about our industry is every addict I know, every alcoholic I know is as cunning, baffling, powerful as their diseases. And they will lie, cheat, manipulate everything to get you to feel, you as the family member, or the loved one, or the person trying to help, to feel confused, lost, scared, and give in to whatever wants they want at that point in time, which is usually just more.
There's a lot of, being here in South Florida, I've had interactions with a good amount of people in recovery now, which I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
Is this a popular spot for recovery?
The popular spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the spot for recovery.
Yeah.
This or Arizona, I think.
Yeah,
because
I was like, I've heard of like Arizona.
Yeah, it's
but,
either this or Arizona, but this is the spot for recovery. And clients that I've had over the years I've been down here that were in recovery that I didn't even know. And I'm talking about highly charismatic, highly successful people from blessed walks of life, Ivy League educated people, lawyers, people of high level, and they've had these careers, they made a lot of money and stuff like that, and they obviously don't lack charisma. Like the way they carry themselves, the way they interact with other people is, I'm like, damn, man, this is a powerful dude or a powerful woman right here. And then you hear like, oh, addiction's been a thing. Oh, like they've been in recovery this many years, that sort of thing. I even had one client that relapsed, and I was shocked because I did not know that she was an addict, that she was in recovery. Never would have thunk it. I thought she was just some regular, run-of-the-mill person, but then running it back.
I remember that day.
Yeah, and it was shocking, very shocking situation. I mean, she could have died. And running it back, I could see where the alarms were, but I just didn't know how to identify it. You know what I mean?
And that actually brings up a very good point, is why should we be on high alert for somebody in our life all the time? And that's kind of like the biggest gift that we get to give our families, our loved ones, or just community or society in general, is the fact that they no longer have to worry about us to the same level that they were. Don't get me wrong. We have loved ones that choose to worry about us, hopefully in a healthy way. And, but how do we give a gift? The best gift that any person battling any addiction, whatever it is to find help from somebody that could actually help you versus trying to get help from somebody that doesn't know how. And that has to do with physical training, that has to do with medicine, that has to do with anything. I mean, you're not going to go to a van down by the river, another Tommy, Chris Farley line. You're not going to go to a van down by the river looking for, medical help. You're going to go to a hospital, hopefully, unless you're like myself and I like to take care of everything on my own, and I am going to go to the van down by the river. And that's how crazy my thinking really is I'm going to find that solution in really obscure places instead of going to professional help. Why I avoid that, why I'm so self-righteous in a lot of areas of my life, why I think I know better. Those are a lot of questions that have become clear over the last few years. Basically it came down to one thing, is I didn't have the capacity to be honest with myself, or I chose not to be. The pain wasn't great enough. We have a term that we were beaten into a state of reasonableness. And I love and hate that because, violent households or whatnot is part of my story. And so, no one likes to impose any of that stuff. No one likes to say beaten into a state of reasonableness. But when it's of divine nature, it's pretty impressive if you could take a proper look at it from my perspective.
How many stints? How many times did it take? Like you said, you went in at 17 was your first time?
Yeah. So the actual inpatient treatment center, the third one that I went to was when I was 36 years old, came down here to Florida. So that was the third one. But there was multiple other programs, authority figures trying to get me to do different things, multiple stints of probation, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, once I shoot, this comes back to that choice question again. Superficial compliance is one of the biggest things that I always look at. What's the difference between superficial compliance, tolerance, acceptance, and surrender? And those are very complicated ones to actually look at because a lot of things that we do can be considered healthy. Going to the bar and having camaraderie with friends is actually a healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
When you stop at a couple of drinks or hire a ride home, and you don't do it every night or every weekend or so on and so forth. We could take religion to the wrong level.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
We could take exercise to the wrong level. And I gotta ask, these, what's the deal with peptides?
Bro, if you only knew how much we've beat up peptides in this podcast.
Yeah, so I don't.
We've gone in on the. You're asking from the standpoint of people that are taking GLPs to quit drinking. Is that what
There's that? So you have that. No, I'm just saying, like, are they harmful in your opinion?
Well, so
Quick answer.
Okay.
we don't know.
No,
We don't know.
long term.
we don't know long
One,
term
we don't know
for
long
some
term.
of them.
Okay.
And I look at it as, so when you say peptides, that's pretty broad because there's promising things out there like insulin's a peptide. That's great. BPC 157 is good for
Injury rehab
and things like that. But GLPs can help with weight loss, have people gain more control over cravings, whether it be food, alcohol. It can lead to changes that can help optimize their gut microbiome to an extent. So that's like the pros for it, right? But there's also the cons to it. And I think you could argue that with, and maybe we'll talk about it more at some point, but like Suboxone and things like that. Does it, or naltrexone, is that the injection? Like Vivitrol for alcohol, I think.
Vivitrol is the alcohol one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's great. It stops the craving. But if they are not doing the work to address what's driving them, fostering a good community, fostering these, like filling these potential voids they have, whether it be getting spirituality, getting a good support system, getting away from things that promote them to go back into their addiction, like if they're hanging out with other addicts all the time, right? Who are actively using.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah,
I was gonna
sorry.
say I hang out
Sorry.
with addicts all day long.
Sorry, who are actively using, sorry. Because we talked about that before on camera, before we got on camera, that if you surround yourself with people who have bad habits, you're more likely to lean to that than if you have them with good habits. But is Vivitrol, yes, it's keeping them from drinking until they can't have the Vivitrol anymore, but they've done nothing on their own to stop from drinking, right? Same thing with the GLPs. Yes, that's keeping their appetite down, but if they're not exercising, they're not addressing their relationship with food, because some people abuse food, right?
I'm one of them.
Okay. Some people use food as their emotional support substance of choice. And so if they're not doing anything, but they're using a GLP, is that really helping them? And you could say, well, yeah, if somebody has a BMI of 80, that helps them because that's a huge risk of having a BMI of 80. And so, okay, but same thing, if somebody's using BPC 157 and they say, I tore my ACL, but I'm doing no rehab exercises for it, I'm just injecting the peptide in there and being like, fix it. That's a problem.
Yeah. So it's like everything. Like these things have some benefit. Long term, we don't know yet. I think some of them will prove to be, in my opinion, they'll be one of those things that give you something, but they take away a lot. Especially if you just keep recurring to the use of that. But it's the same thing with addiction. It's like you got to have your own strategies, and that's what we're about. Like it comes down to the strategies where you don't need to depend on this artificial external source, right? That's what Achieve the Lifestyle, that's what PharmaPhobic is about. It's like I want to give you tools that are yours, that you can recur to, that you can rely on, because you have certain behaviors that keep you out of trouble, because you have a base, a foundation that's going to guide you better than I'm just going to go to the pharma company and get this thing and put it in there and my problems are going to be gone. That's not what we want for people.
Have you, in your recovery process and now as you help sponsor people and guide them through that, have you worked with anyone with eating disorders?
Significant eating disorders, yeah.
In eating disorders, I have more experience in working with people with active addictions. From what I've seen, eating disorders are very, very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And these GLPs, if given to the wrong people, are enabling eating disorders.
And that's the trick. That's the art form, if you want to call it. That's the science. That's the the hope is that we're working with the right professionals to guide us and be able to recognize when it is enabling, because a lot of this you don't know because there's so many variables to all the disorders, and that's one of the meetings that I host. It's Parents in Recovery. It's evolved into learning to just be your own self-parent. It's not just moms and dads in recovery. It's not just it's whatever you're recovering from. And that's the way that I really look at recovery now, because we've all had something in our life that we're recovering from. And it could be trauma of all sorts of kinds, little T's, big T's. I'm sure you've heard all that, big trauma, little trauma. And then there's an argument of is some trauma actually good for you? So how do you look at trauma as a good thing? How do you utilize your deficits as an asset now?
Biblically. I mean, the Bible lays that out. You know, like through all these hardships, like
we find peace.
yes.
Yeah. We are not meant to live unopposed lives. Like, it's just not the way it works. No challenge, these people that have no stress in their lives, they go insane.
That actually brings up a good point, is I thought that my life was supposed to be easy and I could tolerate for a long time a tough life. And in my mind, whether it was or wasn't, that's to be determined, and many opinions can be formed. But to tolerate something, it means I will run out of tolerance if I don't refuel. And I'm great at just tolerating for a long time. So you get into the next word, which is acceptance. You know, and then when that doesn't work, you go back to tolerance, and then you trickle down to superficial compliance, and you know, it's like these little like stepping stones to get to what I call surrender, and what we call surrender in the people that work the recovery program I work, and you know, what does that mean for each individual, you know, and for me. For a long time, that was surrendering to the pain and the suffering and saying that I needed to endure that. Problem is, I did that on my own. And so now I'm just tolerating my own pain and suffering. I'm not actually surrendering to it. I'm not even accepting it, because I accept it consciously. But on a subconscious realm, I'm still hurt inside. I can't figure out how everyone else does it. I can't figure out why I'm so alone, why I'm so disconnected, why... And that's been my journey since I got down here.
Okay.
Alcohol's a tough one too, because you're like, that shit's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Every drug is everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you probably know better than me, but I feel like if you're going to go get fentanyl, you got to go a little bit more out of your way than going to Publix and seeing the...
I could walk 30 feet from right here.
You're right.
Well, I think it's because we're naive to it.
Yeah, I've
right?
never been in, but
Yeah.
but Delray, we're in Delray Beach, and as beautiful as this Atlantic Avenue strip is, if you go right off the strip, there's some places there you can see like it goes down in here, and it ain't in the DMs. It goes down in here.
And I don't want to give fentanyl a bad name, because medically, it's one of the most amazing drugs in the world for medical procedures.
They use it a lot for like colonoscopies or surgeries, because it works quickly and it stays.
Yeah.
And don't want that on the street, though.
Medical fentanyl, though, has a really good purpose, but so does everything, you know.
Cocaine was first used medically.
Exactly.
It's a great vasoconstrictor nasally.
Exactly.
So if you have to do a surgery on the nose, it doesn't bleed.
Exactly.
Yeah, morphine, all this other stuff, but man.
I could look at all the positives and the negatives, and that's the great dialectics to all of this, is looking at the positives and negatives and coming up with your own conclusion. If you decide that you want to go down that path, I respect that. But if you tell me that you don't want to go down that path, but then choose to go down that path, who's a liar?
Yeah. That's good.
Now, you know, if you're going to dinner, you go out to dinner, drinking.
Fentanyl's not on the menu.
Yeah, it's not on the
alcohol
menu.
is.
Maybe in the kitchen. Maybe in the kitchen, you know. Maybe in the kitchen.
Bless you.
Ooh, that sneeze. I don't want to.
But I think what we're trying to say, and please feel free to correct us, because like I already mentioned, we are naive in this, but it's not as socially acceptable to consume other drugs as it is alcohol. Marijuana is coming up now.
Which I think is a scam.
You mentioned happy hour. But why does happy hour and spending time and getting that social connection and decompressing from a day have to be at a bar?
That's what I like, the new cycle of, like, you know, sober's the new fad.
Yeah, it's
not drinking is the new fad.
Mm-hmm.
It's the health benefits. Like, just quit drinking for 2 months and literally watch the health benefits of it. And a lot of people are discovering they can't.
Yeah.
Or they choose not to.
You want to know what kind of contention you get when you're telling people to clean up their eating, and then they kind of clean up their eating, and then you're like, man, I think the alcohol is holding you back. How much are you drinking? And, you know, they're like doing the regular Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing. Yeah, mimosas for brunch and Sunday, going out Saturday night, going out Friday night. It's like, bro, I think I'm going to need you to stop that so that we can actually get some positive body changes here. I'm not gonna have fun, Dad. You know, it seemed that resistance. And listen, I was there at some point, you know, in my 20s and 30s where I was like, no, man, it's Saturday night. I gotta kick them back. You know, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Now looking at it, I'm like, man, it's crazy when the amount of resistance that people would put up to give up even social drinking.
But you hit the nail on the head. It's considered social drinking. Acceptable, let's just say, acceptable means of losing yourself. You know, there's so many different ways to do it since the time we've crushed grapes, right? And it's always been an issue in a certain number of population. So this isn't a new thing. This has been around for thousands and thousands of years. It's just that we're becoming, I guess, a little more informed on it. And this is where I don't like complicating the information. What a drug is a drug is a drug. If you're addicted, you're addicted. I don't care if it actually is a physical drug or if it's a digital drug or a behavioral drug or whatever your brain says and obsesses over and says that you need more of it and it is not healthy for you, it is a problem. It is considered unmanageable. And so, I mean, whether you want to face that reality and say, yes, it's unmanageable, I want help and I want to do better and actually do the work to do that, that's the simplicity of it. That is literally the bread and the butter of it all.
A lot of people don't, whether it's they don't want to agree with it or they believe that that's not true. Just, you were saying earlier how it is a disease process. And so it used to be when we coded medically for visits for a diagnosis, it used to be alcohol abuse or drug abuse. It's not anymore. It's whatever substance use disorder, right? It's a disorder, like you said. If I'm talking to somebody and they're drinking alcohol every single day, every day, and I tell them need to cut back, nope, I enjoy my alcohol every day, and I put mild alcohol use disorder, I get a lot of like, why'd you put that on my chart? I don't have a use disorder, da 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 da. And it's like, how do you not?
Because everyone's afraid of being not accepted for who they are.
Oh, that's very true.
And
because they themselves might not accept themselves for who they are.
Do you think that, and this is just a selfish question, do you think that that's, as a medical, just for this specific example, as a medical provider, I am doing harm or good by giving them that diagnosis? Like standing firm, being like, yes, you fit this, this is what you are.
Accurate information is the best. How we say it, like honesty, I always say this, honesty without compassion is still brutality. And so like, how do we translate things the right way? Everyone's so timid nowadays about labels and so on, and information, the sneakiness and the secretive behavior that society in itself says. I mean, even this, you know, we're filming this. You know, it's live unstreamed. Well, not live, but it's streamed and it's uncut. It's raw. It's supposed to be authentic and true, right? That's what you guys promote is the freedom of deception, and that is what's beautiful. So, as a medical profession, the ethical aspect of that is do no harm, right?
Yeah.
That
cuts both ways, though.
That's where it gets really complicated. Yeah. For one person, that brutal honesty is very, very helpful.
Yeah.
For the person in denial, which I could argue is another psychological issue, then it hurts them because they're embarrassed, because they're scared, because they don't accept that reality. So it's AKA denial. So you're telling a sick person something, and then that sick person is going to argue that you hurt them. Do we trust the sick person or the sane person? And how do we identify what's sane and not sane?
Yeah.
That was not answering your question.
It's okay. I don't think it's answerable.
Well, it's great as hell, right?
But it's so person specific.
Yeah, it's very great. That's why it's very specific.
But I've talked about this a lot of times. I think conventional medicine is moving in a way because they rely so heavily on patient satisfaction scores.
What would you like?
Yes, the nice versus kind, where they're just being nice. And you can argue that with the GLPs. Anybody comes in, I want this drug, I'm nice. But being kind is saying, I don't think that this is safe for you. I think that we need to address this.
Fix my problem without telling me what the problem is or alerting me what the problem is, and make sure I don't have to do anything about it. You just give me a pill and I move on.
And this is the problem with, this is why this platform exists. That's the problem with modern healthcare. That's the problem. Even the fitness industry is going in this way where we're just facilitating and enabling. And, you know, dealing with addiction is another one where it's like, man, I'm giving you a replacement crutch versus giving you a solution. And arriving at solutions is very hard. You almost have to be crazy to look for solutions, and like solutions that are going to stick. Not, I'm going to put a Band-Aid on this. That's a solution and I'll deal with it 2 years from now. No, to be like, I'm going to solve this once and for all right now, and realize that the solution may be a continuous process that I might have to adhere to for the rest of my life. Right.
And people get addicted to putting Band-Aids on even though they're harmful.
Yep. So
yes.
Going back to your answer, I personally would rather be on the side of, I gave you the truth. This is it's opinion based, but you kind of fit this paradigm. So I'm gonna put this in your lap so that you can't say that I wasn't honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, even if I'm slightly off, and you can be like, be insulted by my diagnosis and then go home and be like, you know what, screw this freaking PA. I'm going to quit booze today. And then you stop drinking, then great. You help.
I think that's a very optimal thought.
It is a very, because I know that's not what's going to happen. They're going to prove you right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what we're always asking is just try it.
Yeah. Yep. Because my thought is, like you said, do no harm. I would rather risk pissing a patient off by putting that diagnosis in their chart so that it is part of their medical record, because so many times I have seen, especially older people, I'm talking like 55 and above, use alcohol excessively on a regular basis and then readily prescribed benzodiazepines, Ambien, all these other things because nobody asks them if they consume alcohol, or they ask them very passively. Do you consume alcohol?
The regular amount.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
that answer, the regular
and
amount.
you could say that's the same way GLPs are prescribed because providers just ask, well, do you eat healthy? Yeah. Do you exercise regularly? Yeah. Check. Because a long conversation's never wanted in a quick visit. I don't want to go into details. I don't want to try to problem solve. So yes, patients are seeking Band-Aids because they don't want to problem solve, but providers don't want to problem solve either. They just want to check off a box and say, I did something.
And then there's the liability aspect and sue happy individuals and so on and so forth, and no one want to take responsibility for all their own doing, and so on and so forth. Yeah,
I think that's the heavier.
It's very complicated, yes.
With your opinion, in your journey for recovery, did you appreciate brutal honesty, or did that seem to trigger you? I hate that word, but I can't think of a better one right now.
Trigger's an accurate word. It's just that people overuse it. It's like codependency. It's an accurate word, but people overuse it.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I'm codependent. I'm like, dude, a little codependency isn't terrible.
Right.
You know, it's our targeting is what interdependency, which is community. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but just learning that word, I mean, I never learned that word. I may have heard it in my life, but I didn't learn that word until I came down here. Mm-hmm. What is that? And then I had to literally, it took me months and now years to adapt that into my life and still practicing. I'm not good at it yet, but I'm practicing it. Mm-hmm. So yes. All right. Let's flash back to the day they tried to have an intervention on me. And
in your 30s, this
is 35 years old. And
was that the first intervention that you've ever?
This is October.
Your siblings.
Yes, my siblings, because they're afraid I'm going to die. Mm-hmm. My behaviors were of the nature that, people were coming over my house just to make sure that I was breathing. That was it. It's scary. It's very disappointing is an understatement, but for the simplicity of this show, I want to say I disappointed a lot of individuals with my behavior, and I'm well aware of that. And I do want to make known that I do everything in my human power never to disappoint like that ever again. I will still do disappointing things, but I avoid like the plague being a disappointment. And so yeah, back to this. This is October 2019. Yes. And so they perform an intervention. They get a guy over there trying to get me to pick me up, take me to the airport, get over down here. It's called Sober Escort. And amazing guy. And there's several other people trying to convince me into this stuff. The only person, I didn't believe anybody. Like, that's the one thing. It's like any addict in active use, they read bullshitters like you wouldn't believe, because that's all they're looking for. And so everyone's sitting here trying to lie to me and saying it's going to be great. You have to do this. I'm like, I don't have to do anything. I'm very oppositional. You know me. Very oppositional. And there's one guy in one of the best statements that really helped me to get to that December 17th was, this is going to be the toughest, best thing you could ever do. Mm. And I believed him because he said it with sincerity. It wasn't the other, you have to do this, or sales pitch. Like, no one wants to hear a sales pitch. Like, do you want to do it or don't you? And then allow me to ask a question. What do you think I should do? What I can tell you is it's the toughest, best thing you're ever going to do in your life. And I could get on board with that instead of someone telling me what to do, telling me I'm an addict, telling me I'm unmanageable, telling me I finally had somebody, and this man forever, he takes a lot of credit for where I am today. He accepted me for who I was instead of telling me I'm unacceptable. That was powerful. That was very, very powerful. So I got lost on the original question. But
I said, was brutal honesty triggering for you, or did it help you turn a corner?
That man's actual honesty helped me turn a corner. The other people's opinions of what I needed to do kept me in a stronghold.
Yeah. So facts, not feelings, helps you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't tell me your opinion. Mm-hmm. I got enough noise in my head the way it is.
Yeah.
Filled with all sorts of opinions. But yeah, sometimes brutal honesty is the poison. Sometimes it's the cure. You never know how someone's going to react.
This, where you mentioned alcohol as a problem. Yeah, was that it? Was that that the brunt of it, or were you just going haywire?
I was going haywire. Yeah, I was consuming a plethora amount of other substances.
Plethora and a barrage, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So when you how do I best put this without
You think those were triggered by alcohol use, or was it the other way around? What was the first one that you were like cooked on, that you're like, okay?
I don't particularly discriminate against substances.
You just want to
alcohol and drugs fit the same mold.
Altered mind state.
Behavior of a true alcoholic, the guy that only drinks alcohol, is very unique in its nature, and there's a program for that. And, narcotic, which is some of the product that I was using, is unique in the nature of people that really focus on consuming that. You have different behaviors and psychological and situational things. So there's another program for that. There's another program for the product that I was using, which was cocaine. Mm-hmm. And so that we just have a different way of thinking, is the best way that I could say it. My therapist said it best, and I love this line. He's like, Ryan, you just see the world differently than most. And I'm like, it's the nicest way anyone's called me delusional. I can accept that.
Did cocaine come before alcohol, or was alcohol? Did you fall into cocaine because you were drinking, or did you start drinking because you were doing cocaine?
Weed, alcohol, cocaine.
Weed, alcohol, cocaine.
How is the, do you feel that, and I know no addiction's created equal, they're all different, but do you feel the fact that you had opposing substances, with alcohol classically being a downer, cocaine classically being an upper, do you think that that's a little bit more volatile or dangerous?
Chaos. It's all I prefer.
Yeah.
My first addiction's chaos above all those things.
How did the cocaine come along? Because I have family member you know, that I grew up with, I was extremely close with, probably one of the closest things I had to a brother growing up. And cocaine came senior year of high school with marijuana. And then it's like that, oh, I'm going to lace my little joint with a little bit of cocaine, do that little mix. And then, oh, there's cocaine left over. Let's take a hit. And then next thing you know, they're off on the cocaine freaking train and never to be seen again type of thing.
And there's many songs written about it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And sadly that state of euphoria is not achievable for the most part in a natural way.
Mm-hmm.
And so someone that's seeking something external in order to be okay spiritually or emotionally, they're gonna choose that, you know. The upper versus the downer. It's just a personal preference. Usually has something to do with some situational stuff. But most of it, I've actually have experience working with a lot of people on this. Most of it comes down to a childlike coping mechanism, where they either have to be on the run or they have to be completely submissive in order to protect their well-being in whatever household that is. And it could be brother and sister, brother, all that they grow up in the same way and they're going to perceive it differently.
Yep.
But their perspective, their perception of the way they were at, and I'm going to go back to like 3 years old, usually sets the course from what I'm observing. I have no science to back this except my own experiences.
Yeah, I do think that there's some science about coping mechanisms at certain ages and specifically before a certain age. And I don't readily know the exacts of it, but I think that that's where you start to get into the definition of complex PTSD versus PTSD.
Precisely.
Where complex PTSD is more that your foundational coping mechanisms, you don't have them or they're altered because of trauma that happened every day. But PTSD is more like a specific event, a car accident, a war, a battle, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in a very dumbed down.
No,
Yeah.
I love that. That was I love that description.
And so I can only imagine the soldier who had complex PTSD and then goes to battle, you know? And sometimes, sometimes that could cause way more harm, but sometimes the big traumatic event, they're just like,
That's the cool part. That was what was really hard to identify from my personal journey, is figuring out where my discomfort came from. And, you know, was it a specific thing? No, it's literally the way I perceive this world through life. And not feeling, let's just say, sufficient in my communication skill set. And so I chose isolation because anytime I would talk, I would feel inadequate, insufficient, insecure, and so on and so forth. Unless I was the funny man. So I had scapegoat, funny man, so on and so forth. But then I fell into what I always say is the caretaker. I'm a great caretaker. I shut off all my emotion and care for that person. And it's a sign of PTSD, you know? And where I got that from, man, it could be a number of different things. Yeah. I'm not blaming anything. But it did allow me to have that ability to turn off my emotions. And so chasing the drugs and the alcohol or the behavior or the lifestyle or so on and so forth, it was great because I got to turn that off and I didn't have to come back to reality.
Did you have a moment, I think everybody, if you've lived a little bit, you have a moment where you're like, man, I got to change some stuff. Did you have a moment where like what you would call rock bottom where you could point to and be like, that's where I said, this can't go on anymore?
That was December 17th. Yeah.
That intervention?
that
was the day I just came to.
That's right. You said you called the phone.
to call for help.
What did it? Were you in an altered state at that point?
I was extremely inebriated, yes.
And what did something, you see something, did something like resonate, you hear something that you're like, oh no, I can't do this anymore?
The only thing I can explain it is God's grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no, I was told what to do for 20 years. Literally over 20 years in in regards to substance use, behavioral, psychological, emotional, spiritual. 12 years of Catholic school. I know the rules, but I made my own up in order to feel okay in my heart. But those rules no longer help me anymore. And so, yeah, December 17th is when I kind of like got into that. So it's 28 degrees, Cleveland, Ohio. It's the lights are off. I had the money to pay the electric bill, but not the whereabouts to actually pay it. You know, I'm sitting in the basement, house by myself, feeding wood into a wood burner with a dresser from, I don't even know whose dresser it was, and why I was doing it is the best way I could explain it. And that hopelessness kind of came over to me. Came over me because every other time before that, superficial compliance was my thing. Okay, fine, I'll give up all this stuff, you know, for a time being to get everybody off my back and do the next right thing. Be a good member of society. December 17th, I finally realized that I was a terrible member of society. Terrible dad. Terrible brother. Terrible son. And didn't mean I didn't do good things. But doing what I was doing made me not a good person. And yeah, that's when that aha moment came over. Is I don't know how to pretend to be a good person anymore.
Were you holding down a job too, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Not necessarily. Okay.
Yeah, I had some business affairs, but I was slighting those significantly. I was not doing anything. No, that's an. I was at first. I was at first. I was very hopeful. I used to be able to do both, but yeah.
Eventually, it took over.
Yeah.
Do you find that when you're able to shut off all your emotions and caretake, do you remain quote unquote clean during that time, or were you abusing while caretaking?
Generally, I'd like to be. I couldn't do both.
Okay.
I couldn't do both, and then if I said that I could, then I'd be lying to myself. And then that lie would eventually, the secrets keep me sick, the lies keep me alive, and that was just basically the cycle that I was in for a long, long time. Because I'm okay, leave me alone. I'm not okay, I need help. But I would never say that. Someone else would be like, you need fucking help. And I'd be like, oh, no, I don't. I'm fine.
Yeah.
This last time around, I finally did what I want, when I wanted, how I wanted, to the extent of when they said you needed help, I says, thank you, but I don't want it right now. And whether I was that nice, I probably wasn't. I probably gaslit the heck out of them and said, yeah, I know I need help. It's cool, man, you know. And just never show up for the help that was offered. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey. It's been an interesting journey, and like all the different walks, all the different jobs, and so on and so forth. That you know, how do you hold down a life while you're doing all these things? And that's part of the issue. Is where the only thing that I'm balancing in life is a lie. Well, I lie to myself every single day and say that I'm okay when I'm not. I can't understand where all the aches and pains physically, psychologically, and so on and so forth are going. You know, I'd even go to the doctor and be like, I have to have Lyme disease. Like, run the test again. I have to have Lyme disease. He's like, dude, you need to go see a psych doctor. And I'm like, that's not accurate. I'm fine. And that was the story of my life. There's aches and pains and ailments and everything else, and I can't figure out the root cause of them. It's just me lying to myself.
Damn. Well, good place to take a break. Guys, this first part of the conversation, obviously there's a lot.
Yeah, we really appreciate you being so open about it all.
There's a lot there, but I think take away on this first episode, that community aspect, because he mentioned it a lot of times and he harped on it a lot, and that spiritual base are part of your health journey. There's a reason why we're like, social connection. And we tell you every time that social connection is a pillar of long-term health, right? Now you're seeing it in action. You're hearing about how it actually works to keep people. Social connection will make people do awesome, superhuman things. And, you know, overcoming addiction, probably one of them, right? So
I would say that's pretty superhuman.
yeah, I mean, and I could go to like military units that overcome crazy odds in battle. You know, the Fallujahs of the world and these crazy battles that we hear about in Afghanistan and Iraq and Vietnam, World War II, where the odds were stacked against them and these guys overcome and kick ass because they had a good connection. They weren't doing it. Other people like, oh yeah, I did it for my country. Nah, bro. At that moment, everybody will tell you that it wasn't for that. It was like, hey, this dude next to me, he was doing it, so I was doing it too. And then I saw this guy, he was going crazy over there, so I kept doing what I had to do, and that's how we got out of there. And you know, you see it now in things like addiction too. That's crazy. That's really good and really drives a point home of the importance of social connection. So I'm gonna leave you with that, and we'll kick into part 2, and you guys could hear about the journey back, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about the industry of recovery, right? And what to avoid when you choose.
Choose.
You gotta choose it to leave that behind, the addiction behind, right? Well, guys, till the next episode. Well, Janie?
You know where to find us.
Yes, where do they find us?
Our website is achievethelifestyle.com. You can email us at info@achievethelifestyle.com. I was looking at the wrong camera. Or slide into our DMs.
Because they go down in the DM.
At Achieve the Lifestyle.
Yep. Thank you, Ryan, for being so open. That's heavy. I'll let you guys chew on that, and next week you get to hear part 2 of this awesome story. And till then, till next week, guys, I need you to do something. Stay pharma-free. Thanks for listening to the PharmaPhobic podcast. If you found this conversation interesting, which I know you did, make sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also make sure to check us out on Instagram @Achieve the Lifestyle. And if you're interested in pursuing a stronger, healthier, more capable version of yourself, check out our website @achievethelifestyle.com.
The PharmaPhobic podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical or wellness decisions. While we discuss pharmaceutical, holistic, and alternative health topics, our content is not a substitute for professional medical guidance.